Hitting the button. Says go live. All right. Welcome to Hit or Miss. I'm your host, STRYKE, and we have an interesting panel this evening. We actually have people instead of me and Travis being alone. Kind of wish George was here, but George is busy. So, happens. Anyways, we got some topics to talk about tonight, but right now we're just kind of shooting the shit because it's not 9 o'clock yet. So,
it's fine.
But I figured I pressed the button early because Sean's never been on a show early.
No, this is the exact opposite of what we do in the war room. We're always late.
Yeah. Well, whose fault is that, Sean?
The host.
The host?
Yeah.
And who is the host of the war room?
I cannot confirm nor deny who that is.
Uh-huh. All right. All right, Kissinger.
You can't handle the truth. I'm still trying to work my way through how Travis is not a real person, as you said in your intro.
Oh, what Travis is totally
talking about. I'm a very visible person. I'm
a
very public figure.
Catch the replay. I swear he said we have actual people this time instead of just me and Travis here.
All right,
like, Jesus.
Talking about
I said instead of me and Travis just riding it out, we've got Scott and Sean tonight. So
actual people.
We got actual people instead of just me and Travis.
Damn.
You notice I put myself in that position too, Sean. So,
but you may or may not be the host. We cannot confirm or deny that.
We can't. And you know what? We're just gonna have to live with that too.
That's fine.
So we got a poll out there for those that are watching Hit or Miss this evening. The poll is G-Webs guilty of loving 9mm too much? The answer, the only applicable answers are yes or no, and the yeses are winning.
How is that even possible? I've never heard him be a proponent of the 9mm. Not like encouraging people to go out and buy it.
Well, you see, I've heard him talk about the 9mm guns that he's owned.
See, this poll's already messed up, though.
I believe he's a closet 9mm owner.
Nah, see, the poll's messed up. The answer is this because the choices should have been yes and yes, just slightly less agreeable.
That's probably much more closer to the truth.
Yeah.
But
I am not a proponent of 9mm, even though I'm on a Foot Locker full of about 60,000 rounds of it. I use it as an ottoman.
Yeah, no, I'm not a proponent of 9mm either. That's why I've got a whole bunch of 5.7 by 28mm.
I don't do this Eastern Bloc metric bullshit. I'm holding a 44 Magnum right now.
Well, I've also got 45 ACP.
Better.
Because America, fuck yeah. Oh, there we go. I mean, we're demonetized now because I cursed. Oh well.
Fuck.
Not that I had it on anyways.
Oh, so I'm going to bring this up because you and I talked about it this morning. And it'll be a worthwhile subject. A few months back, it's probably been months, there was a joke on my Discord server about STRYKE's collection of Chinese-made surplus firearms, rifles and whatnot. And the words China strike came up. I believe Warsaw Patriot coined that term. God rest his soul. But the funny thing is when he said it, the first thing that popped into my mind, and you and I talked about this, was you should ride this out.
Don't.
Scott's making dinner, I think. Anyway,
I was like, got the Hershey squirts.
Yeah. I was like, you should ride this thing out. And, you created this logo based off of the original China Beach. Can you pull that up?
Yeah, give me a second.
He made this logo.
That's what I was thinking. It looks exactly like the old China Beach show from the 80s on ABC.
Because when we were talking about it, it was in the morning on my server while I was at work, and I'm like, dude, you should totally take the China Beach logo. And I sent him the original picture, and I'm like, make this the China Strike, and use the font and the spacing and the color palette and everything.
See if that shows up for everybody in the.
I hope it does because it was brilliant.
So
he worked on it the whole day. And at the very end, he was like, hey, here's my 4th rendition. And it was perfect. I was like, that's it right there. Just go with that. There it is.
There.
It's perfect, right?
Yes, Travis, I was washing my hands.
So,
Oh man, I heard some plop, 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 plop. I was like, whoa, what's going on?
oh yeah,
man?
dude, it was like you were full
like-
on tandoori chicken.
No, surprisingly, I am making chicken. That's why I was having to wash my hands.
Oh, that's
So-
what you call it.
So this is the China Strike logo. It's in the style of China Beach. That's
Also,
why there's
wasn't
a
I supposed to
beach.
be muted.
Well,
You
I
were
was
supposed
just
to be muted.
thinking
I don't know
of-
why you
what
weren't.
was her name?
Hmm.
Something Delaney.
Can you
Man,
guys
she
hear
was-
me?
Dana Delaney.
Danny Delaney. She was good looking back then. Woo!
The redheaded gal that's in that show that also went on to CSI, Margot
Oh,
something. or other.
Marg Helgenberger.
Yeah, she worked with my dad at the beef packing plant like in the early 80s when she first got out of high school.
Right.
She's from Nebraska. She's actually from Nebraska. And so is the beautiful blonde-haired chick from the Police Academy movies, the trainer gal.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Oh, the one that
Lot
She
of
worked
worked
prominent
with your
Nebraska
dad. And your dad wasn't packing that meat. Anyway,
Anyways,
so this morning, I don't know how it came up, but we came up with this idea collectively, and you guys should probably encourage Mike to do this. Okay. I want him to make a t-shirt or a hoodie with this logo on the back
China Strike.
in this color palette. And the colors for the t-shirts or the hoodies would be sunburst orange, like this, like a dark chocolate brown, because it would fit this kind of color palette. And then what was the other one? I think just standard black, right?
No, bro, we got tiger stripe camo.
Well,
Come on,
I'm just saying
That
for
looks
like
so
for the base color, and then this is like silk screened on the back, right? But then we were like, wait a minute, if we do this on t-shirts, you could probably put like an American flag logo on the sleeve, on the bottom of the sleeve, kind of like the thin blue line ones. Put that on the one on the right sleeve, and on the left sleeve, because he came up. Oh, that's how we got up with this.
Yeah.
He came up with this idea. He wanted to make a t-shirt that said, you say it.
yeah. Strike hard, strike fast, strike often with the Y.
I think on the right sleeve you should put grunt strike on the side of it. Instead of grunt style, put grunt strike.
Well, I
They
figured
have the
on
flag, grunt
one
strike.
sleeve would be a flag, and on the other sleeve would be, strike hard, strike fast, strike often. And then you could probably put the
But
name.
strike is spelled with the Y.
You could put grunt strike right over the left breast where like a name tag would go.
Strike 11 tactical.
But if you guys want to see that, because I actually have two companies that could probably make that a reality.
All right.
Because I told him, I was like, dude, if you make that, I'll buy it. I will buy it. Like,
I've
you
got
make that
I've got a
hoodie and
couple
I'll wear it.
ideas for shirts that I got that I'm going to start working on. I've got an idea that I want to do patches. I'm thinking about making China Strike patches actually.
If you do that, I want that in PVC.
That's what I'm looking at doing.
We need Night Strike.
Because
Yeah, bro. Me too.
Patches.
I will literally put that PVC patch on my AK case with the fuck Jane Fonda patch next to it.
I might be able to get
Dude,
stickers first.
Nice, Rick. You could just post that design over on Spreadshirt and they'll make it for you.
That's what I'm saying.
And then you
like,
just
we
you just
can
order
make
right
this a
off
thing.
right off the website, like right off the YouTube channel, and then you get the money for it.
we need to make this a thing. Like, I want this in a hoodie.
Well, I
or a
will
t-shirt.
work on it. I will work on this.
But you guys in the chat, if you think that you would go for that, say something, because he's only going to do this if we, back it. So we can't let that artwork go to waste either. It came out perfect.
It did, and I actually found I have to go and license the music, but I found a nice China Strike intro too.
Oh, I've got a copy of the original theme song for this.
No, I found a better one. Trust me. If I ever start a YouTube channel, I'm licensing the music and I'm using this one, so you'll like it.
It's fine.
I'll show it to you later. Anyways,
I'm done shilling now.
we're probably gonna have to do that this year because I want to get new. I got ideas for stickers. I got deals for shirts.
That's going to be the thing for the year.
I'm doing that. I want to show other gun. I'm going to start showing more guns on the channel, even though the YouTube thing, it just means I'm not going to be modifying the guns on the channel so I don't get hit.
Thumbs up if you want to see Mike Desk pop his RPK.
No. The house, I'm in is in the city. No desk popping.
Desk pop is Narinko
So you have to go out.
NHM.
So you have to go out to the barn.
I don't have a barn. I have to go out to the back property.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if this takes off, you
Yeah.
can get the proper lighting in the yard for your outdoor range.
Yeah, I'd like to
Desk pop
put a
live.
shed back there, but that's not gonna happen.
Anyway,
so welcome to Hit or Miss. We've gotten off on a tangent tonight, so that's part of the course.
par for the course.
It's us. I'm glad the image showed up for everybody. So
Yeah, I like it. I think that really, you did a good job on that one.
So who do we have out there right now? We got some comments. I want to go through some of the comments. All right. So Daniel says, I got my money on a miss. Well, we're here, so I guess, Daniel, you lost money. Zoro is out there. Jaime.
Future State Department head.
Mike McClune is out there. What's going on, Mike? Defense Dad says, I see gun people. He also says, Travis is real. I've seen him. Well, I don't know. I've never seen Travis in the same room with you, Defense Dad.
I've seen him.
Dude, we did our drawing for your 1911 right next to each other that you won.
Shh, that's a joke. That was a joke, Travis.
Oh, well, I can't detect that kind of emotion without being in the same room as you. So how am I supposed to know that?
Oh, right. All right.
Well, if you're not a real person, you're ethereal, and you should be able to sense these things.
M. Gabriel is out there. Bjorn is out there saying hi. Hi, Bjorn. AR Gun 1776 is out there. What's going on? He's like, he says, I remember China Beach. Defense that says China Beach was a good show. Marg Helgenberger is from Nebraska. All right. There you go.
Yep.
Out of the two shows at the same time for that era, though, Tour of Duty was the better of the two.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tour of Duty was awesome, man.
What a shocking ending, too, man.
Yeah. Again, Gabriel says China Strike guns should have cheap optics on them. Well, I got to find decent optics other than what's the one? Feiachi? I don't want that on my.
You got to put NC Star.
Yeah, I think NC Star has to go on.
You got to have an actual Chinese, origin optic on a Chinese gun.
Either that or see if I can get some Narinkos imported.
There you go.
Let's see. M. Gabriel says my sister-in-law was literally a fudge packer at a fudge packer at a candy factory.
Nice.
All right. And he says,
was she on I Love Lucy back in the day? Because I remember that.
No, but a woman like that can call me.
I don't know, but he also says strike on Tuesdays.
Yep.
All right. Who else? We got the NY Outcast out there. We've got Faride out there. No idea who that is, but hello.
She answers to Bjorn, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mrs. Bjorn.
And Gabriel's trying to watch 5 chats at the same time. Bless you, sir. Bless you. So, going on. We got some topics to talk about tonight. I found some topics before. All right. So, for those that didn't know, it had started today. The pistol brace ban is on the register today. So you have like 119 days left to get your paperwork in if you want to register, or to get a 16-inch barrel on that gun, or just hide it and don't take it into the range until things are settled in the courts.
You can't suggest that.
I can't suggest it. And nothing I say should be used as legal advice. The views and opinions of Night Strike are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Night Strike panel, the Hit or Miss panel, or any other panels that Night Strike is on.
They may
please beware. Please beware. Do not take our advice for legal advice. There we go.
Though they may be the opinions of liberty and freedom.
They may be the opinions of liberty and freedom. But
can I ask you guys a question?
Go for it.
So they tell us we're supposed to take it off and destroy it, the brace, if you're going to remove it from the gun, if that's the option you so choose.
That's been updated.
Oh, you can just I thought they said if you take it off and have it in the same domicile as the gun, it's considered intentional construction or whatever the hell they call it.
Intent has never been prosecuted, thankfully. There was a ATF workshop that Robbie Wheaton attended And
yeah,
I
just watched the one today. I watched the highlights.
Yeah.
From, I thought it said so. If you just take it off, that's all you have to do.
Yes. Which sucks if you have a folding trunnion AK.
Yeah, I'm thinking some of these are like integrated into. Or if you got a honey badger, I mean, what those little slider stocks or whatever. I mean, that thing's like practically built into the freaking lower. You know,
2 SBPDWs. I'm looking at that, going, what am I supposed to do with this?
I'm not removing it because I'll just put a 16-inch barrel on it. Problem solved.
I can't do that on an AK.
That's why you make an AR
Yeah,
one
but
instead.
on an AK, at least it's not integral to its function.
Yeah,
I got an AKB.
So you
Yeah,
can
but
take the
also
whole
you got
buffer
a
tube right off.
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, since we're talking about
have to take
gun-related
off
issues, on a positive note, the state of Illinois has been struck down for their ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. They appealed it because there was a restraining order on the ban. So they appealed it, and they lost their appeal. So you guys in Illinois have a little bit of room to breathe, but it doesn't mean that you should become complacent. You're on the 5-yard line and you still got 95 yards to go. And you're led by a fat ass prick who bought his way into the governor's mansion. So
it sounds like a Nebraska football game right there. 5-yard line, 95 yards to go. That's the story of our season.
Yep. Clock's ticking.
You need Tom Brady on your team, apparently.
Yeah. Gotta let me play.
I think I said her name correctly. Farida.
Farida. Okay. All right. Anyways, so there's that. What else? There was something else. Oh, also, is either yesterday or today, they reintroduced the bill for constitutional carry in Florida. So I'm hoping that goes through. Because
we had LB 77 proposed last Thursday at our state capitol building. We had a lot of proponents come speak in favor of it. It's looking pretty solid right now. So we got a lot of work to do, but I'm hoping it's going to happen. We're just kind of in the initial stages of the testimonies of it. And then after that, it's going to go through a couple different rounds and voting, and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Well, since this new ruling dropped today, the first major lawsuit against it has already dropped today, thanks to the Veterans Affairs offices of Texas and Wisconsin.
Well, we always knew that once they put this on the register and said this is a de facto law now, they were going to get sued for it.
Yeah, and this is going to be a case of basically army ants. So right now we've got this big juggernaut of a thing in front of us, and they can starve you out financially on a per case basis. But if they get hit with like 50 lawsuits, it's 50 versus 1. Who's going to get starved out first this time? So it's just a matter of making sure everyone who's got these lawsuits in line to follow through with them.
Well, there's also the matter of the bump stock case circuit split, because it has to go to the Supreme Court now. They have to hear it because there's a circuit split. And and the reason I mention it is because they went with the angle of the ATF is not a legal authority to make rules and laws. They're not Congress, and that was the avenue that the latest circuit court said. It's right. They're right. They don't have the legal authority to come up with rules and laws because they're not elected officials. And if that goes through, then every other thing they've done since the bump stock ban, null and void.
Yep.
So that's just why I'm mentioning it, because it plays into that. So we'll see what happens there. So tonight me and Sean were talking about this because this is happening not 10 miles from my house. Okay. So everybody, if you haven't heard it, that's okay. But it's
the Tryal strike.
It's gun related. And what we're talking about is the Alex Murdaugh case. Travis, you've heard of that at least, right?
Dude, you're gonna have to run that by me again. Who is it?
Alex Murdaugh?
Prominent South Carolina lawyer, comes home, finds his wife and his son murdered half a mile from their house at their feed barn thing for their animals. The wife was found with multiple gunshot wounds. The kill shot was supposedly a 300 blackout round in the back of her head, close range.
Mm-hmm.
The son was found at the other end of the feed house, died of an apparent shotgun wound to the back of the head, so severe that his body had slumped forward with his hands inside, so he fell on top of his hands, and yet his brain was actually at the base of his feet. So his brain was separated from his skull on the way down. And
Okay.
the crime scene photos are horrific, but
Yeah,
they're out there
bad.
if you know where to look. He was not formally charged until I think it was 4 months later. He wasn't charged for the murders until 4 months later. And now he's on trial for this. And
but the problem is he's also on trial for 90 counts of financial fraud too.
correct. So we call it it's the Murdoch trial. That's what it is. We just jokingly called it the trial strike because I've been following it every day while I'm just doing my day-to-day stuff at work.
Sean calls it the next O.J. Simpson case, but I told him
I'm not the only one. I'm not the only
he
one.
doesn't have he's the wrong shade, one, and two, he doesn't have a white Ford Bronco. He just has
but this is a demonic-looking twisted
an
ginger.
F2 or 350. You know,
This is a twisted little ginger on trial. And what's really weird about it is I'm not the one who came up with this. They're saying this is the O.J. Simpson trial of the decade because he is walking into the courtroom every day with this impervious swagger and like defiant look on his face. And when he sits down and the trial begins, then all of a sudden he turns into this like shaking, staring at his feet, can't sit still, mentally disturbed old man. And it's like, I'm not buying this act. I'm not buying it for a second.
It doesn't help that his grandfather, his great grandfather, and I think his great great grandfather were all court judges in the county either.
Well, the biggest problem with this case was they had to take his photograph out of the courtroom because he's up on the legal board of trustees for your county. So it's like they had to take that down.
We lost Travis. Oh wait, he's back.
Either way, I mean, this trial is revealing things that are just really disturbing. For instance, they've been playing the conversations and interviews, the phone call, the 911 call. The guy sounds hysterical. And yet every single witness that was on scene said this guy sounded hysterical, but he didn't shed a single tear. And some of the cops were like, that happens sometimes. Some people just can't do it. So, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Today, they played an interview with him where he was literally sounding like a lunatic in terms of just duress, trying to recall events, right? And I think it was Nancy Grace. She pointed this out in the recording today. That man had a Freudian slip. When they talked about the discovery of his son and the amount of damage that was done to his son, as he was sitting there putting on this crying sounding act, he said, I did him so bad. I did him so bad. Where did that come from, right?
Does he mean like I raised him so bad?
No, because they were talking about the extent of his injuries that killed him. I did him so bad. I mean,
I wonder if he's thinking that he had done something and somebody else had taken it out on his family,
Well,
and that's what he meant by it.
It's
No,
possible.
I don't doubt. I'm sure this guy probably did it, but I'm just saying, there's a couple things you can look at what he said.
Well,
it is possible.
I'm not so sure because
here's the part that gets weird though. During that part of the interview, somebody he knows walked by and he just stopped his act and he was like, hey, how you doing? Like, how did you just shut that off like a switch? Remember, he was a lawyer. He's worked with all these people before. He knows how they think. And yet, oh my God, I did him so. Hey, how you doing? Well, excuse me? How'd that work?
Yeah.
So
there's
that
also
was
another
kind of the
caveat
focus.
to this that we haven't talked about, Sean.
Huh.
His son got a
He had a boating accident.
had a boating accident and got a woman killed, and
He brought that up. That recording was 2 or 3 days ago. They took his call. They played the call in the courtroom when he was supposedly in his Suburban driving back from the kill place to his house. And he was saying that he was going back to grab his shotgun because he doesn't know if there's still people on site. Okay, that's plausible. And then when the officers showed up, they said, "Do you have any weapons on you?" And he says, "I got my shotgun. It's over by my Suburban." So he was forthcoming with that information. Fine. GSR test proved that he had gunshot residue. However, he was able to say and formulate an alibi saying, "I was at the shooting range that day." So,
okay, does the shot match? Does the shot taken from the body of his son match the shot and shot shells in his gun?
It's buckshot.
It doesn't matter. There could be a specific metallic formula, but just like with guns, just like with rifling,
it's possible. It is possible.
And then what about the round? Does that bullet match the
other
guns?
The other problem is
wait, I know if you're talking about the shotgun shell thing, hold off just a second.
Can I finish?
Because it could have been like a specific type of shot. It doesn't necessarily mean it's lead or that it could have been, anything.
Fair
steel
enough.
or
Well,
I'm sure they're going to do that. I'm sure they're going to check what's in his home versus what was used at the scene.
That's what they covered today. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Though.
All right.
Well, I want to mention this, and I want to get this out here before Sean goes off the rails. The other gun they say, which killed the wife, was a Palmetto State Armory PA.
That's exactly what I was heading to.
15 in 300 blackout.
Yeah. And they interviewed the guy who built it.
Specifically said it exactly like that in court.
They interviewed the guy who built it today. Or assembled it, rather.
Assembled it, mostly.
Yeah. Yeah, today in the courtroom, there was... They really focused on the firearms used, the firearms that were taken from the property, the calibers or gauge of munitions were used in this act, and how they coincidentally were all recovered. So PSA PA-15 lower receiver with a 300 blackout upper and a night vision scope. And I thought it was the Sightmark Wraith HD, but it turns out to be something else, and they valued it at like $1,500, whatever it is. The shotgun, I think, was a Remington, and it had like a turkey camo pattern thing or whatever is on there. And the ammunition that was recovered was Federal 3-inch Magnum buckshot shells. And the bullets that were recovered and the rounds that were recovered were Cellier and Bellow 300 blackout rounds. So like all the stuff that was involved in the murder, this guy coincidentally has it all on site too. And there's some strangeness going on here. There's some anachronism going on here, because during the cross-examination today, the prosecutor had the forensics expert read off evidence envelopes today. I think four or five times. And each one was the same thing, and it was from the same spot, and it was all collected on the same day. So the guy repeated himself 5 times, literally. He was like, red shotgun shell, 12 gauge, stamped 12 gauge, Federal premium, double-aught buck, 3-inch Magnum. He read that like 5 times. And then suddenly the cross-examination came. The defense attorney goes, "All those shotgun shells you recovered?" He's like, "Yes." And he goes, "Could you read to the court the date those were collected?" So the guy goes, I think it was September 13th, 2021. And he goes, "So you mean to tell me that you have presented evidence of shotgun shells collected 4 months after the murder?" And the guy just like looked like he stepped in dog shit. And he goes, "I've got no further questions for this witness." And he just like walked away and strutted away like, "I just destroyed this guy." And technically he did.
Yeah, definitely.
Because none of those shotgun shells are admissible now. Even if they had the boxes that those shotgun shells came in for a lot number, you couldn't get them because they didn't find the boxes. They found loose shells in a red bin. There's no lot number on the case on the hulls. And if the guy's a reloader, those hulls are older than dog shit anyway, because he probably reloaded them. So none of that's relevant anymore. The 300 blackout rounds may be relevant. They recovered them from the wife. They recovered them from the walls and the ground past her, things like that. Sure. Can they match the rifling to the upper receiver on the rifle that they picked up? Sure. But here's the other weird part. 2 or 3 days ago, because this is only like day 5, right? 2 or 3 days ago during this interview process, the officer asks Murdoch, they were like, well, how did your wife and your kid get here? Your house is 3,000 yards away. It's like over half a mile. And he said, oh, usually they come here in my white F-250. And then all of a sudden it occurred to him, where's my truck? See, the vehicles on the scene were a black Suburban, which is what he was driving, a green Ford Ranger, which was just on scene, police vehicles, and then one of the officers actually recognized that there were tire tracks at the scene. No vehicle. So he was like, they usually come up here in my truck. What kind of truck, sir? A white F-250. Well, sir, there isn't one of those on scene. What? And he looks around, he's like, where's my truck? Right? So you can think, okay, well, maybe he moved the truck, right? They cross-examined the cell phone records. The cell phone went online 3 minutes before he called the police at the scene. He called the police 3 minutes after that was recorded on scene. He called them saying he was driving back to his house because something happened to his family and he thinks there might still be people on site, so he's going to go get his shotgun. Okay, that's plausible. 10 minutes later, the officers arrive. So the entire span of this event is 13 minutes. And you mean to tell me they couldn't find the rifle at first that day, and they couldn't find the missing truck until the morning after, all the way across the other end of the county line? So, like Night Strike was talking about this. He was like, I live in that county. It's far. There's no way he could have gotten that truck and drove it to the other end of town or the other end of the county in 13 minutes and still be back in time.
Yeah, no. If they found it on the other side of the county from where he was, there's no way he can get there in 13 minutes.
So then the question became today, is it possible there was a second shooter? Wife was taken out with a rifle, son was taken out with a shotgun. Now, they haven't ruled out he's not one of the two shooters. They just said, could there be two shooters? And then another theory came up later today that, well, this could have been a revenge hit for the boating accident thing.
And that's what I've been telling him the past couple days.
Yeah, but the boating accident thing seems really thin.
Yeah,
There's
but
nothing to support.
You sorely underestimate the anger of people of losing a family
People
member.
are nuts anymore, man. They don't care.
I understand, but the thing is it's not about guilt or innocence. It's about what you can prove in court. And if they had enough to make that stick, they would have subpoenaed those people and questioned them. They didn't. They never did. They didn't have enough to even bring them in for questioning. That's why that alibi's thin. Really thin. If this guy gets away with it, there's a lot of questions to be answered. First of all, like, how'd you do it? 13 minutes, set a world speed record in an F-250.
Yeah.
Came back, not even breathing hard or winded. And the rifle wasn't recovered right away. There's a lot of questions here. The cell phone records thing was fascinating today because they were talking about the software used to basically brute force their way into the phone. And I thought I saved it on here. Maybe it's on my main phone. Hang on a second. The software that was used is called Celebrite, which is a software that was actually designed in Israel. That's what the Secret Service is using to brute force iPhones and Androids. And apparently they can only do it to the tune of 143 attempts a day because the phone locks itself every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they clone the phone and then they go through everything so they could see what location services were turned on for what apps. They can see what apps were responded to, what calls were picked up. They checked the cell phone records. The guy that they brought in, data analysis for the internet connection, the cellular connection, the phones, everything, the guy's qualified. The guy is way qualified.
Yeah.
And he's been an expert witness for testimony for cases like this 6 times so far. So this is a really strange trial to watch, because I'm watching this guy's body language. As a psychologist, I'm looking at this guy because my educational background is psychology, criminal pathology. Okay, I took criminal pathology as a backup. So me watching this is like mental chess to me. I'm watching this guy, his body language. When they present evidence, I don't know if there's a screen low down on the table, or if he's just not looking at the screen up where the rest of the gallery can see it, because there's a screen that you don't get to see during the TV coverage because it's too graphic, right? But there is a screen in the courtroom, probably somewhere in the vicinity of the person on the stand, just off to the side of them, that everyone in the gallery should be able to see, including the 2 attorneys and the accused, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every time something is displayed, he's looking down at his feet or his lap. And I'm wondering, is there a screen down there somewhere, or is he just not recognizing anything they're showing because he doesn't want to react to it? And if that's the case, or if he's really truly grieving, then he does look like a person who is very disturbed by what's being shown. If he's innocent, okay, I can believe that then. But the guy's not crying. You can fake hysteria. He's
Right.
not crying at all. Now, I can tell you for a fact, dudes get older, dudes get less testosterone, dudes get more emotional over things that they didn't give a shit about before when they were in their 20s. I can
need a
I
hug.
can
Get over here.
guarantee that.
Get over here, Scott. Give me a hug.
This guy's in his late 50s, early 60s. He should be crying at the end of Old Yeller every time it's on. And yet his family was murdered brutally, and he's not shedding a tear. I ain't buying it. I am not buying it.
Yeah.
So
nope.
I can't wait to hear tomorrow's antics, because I mean, it's weird. Like, most of it sounds damning, and then there's like 1 or 2 things that make you go, maybe not. But is there enough maybe nots to overturn a guilty verdict or a not guilty verdict? I ain't seen it yet.
Sounds like a good episode of Criminal Minds.
Oh, dude, Nancy Grace wants to grab him by the scruff of his neck and throw him through a wood chipper. Like, that woman is a bull in a china shop.
Nancy Grace is an evil woman.
She looks evil.
Mm-hmm.
No, she is an evil woman.
Well,
She's a lawyer.
wow.
Yeah. Yes, all lawyers and bankers are bloodsuckers. We know this. All right. Anyways, Defense Dad sent us a topic this evening. Travis, I put it in the side chat here for us.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk about it. I read about it after I got out of work today, if you guys are curious.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this. So, Travis, why don't you field this one?
So I don't know exactly how much time the gunman was in the store, but a gunman walked into a Target with an AR-15 and started shooting. Our early hypothesis in my little circle chat we were having with Defense Dad and a few other people was that this might have been a death by cop suicide, because there was a police officer in the store, if I'm not mistaken, and he did stop the shooter quickly or within just a few minutes. I mean, from what I'm hearing on the details, it's kind of, it wasn't something that I don't think was drawn out for a very long time. And the fact that this guy didn't actually hit anybody in a Target store at 3:30 in the afternoon, which is usually pretty busy because school's out and there's a lot of people that are shopping and stuff in Omaha, one of the biggest cities in Nebraska. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of curious if that's just not why he did that. I don't know why somebody would do that. I don't know.
All right.
But that's basically what happened. Yeah.
I have to make the joke because it's there.
Target.
It's there. He didn't hit anything, yet he was in a Target with plenty of targets.
Yeah. So I mean, and people are interviewing people, and I don't know how many.
So
shots
you know what that
and,
means?
Yeah.
He's a worse shot than me.
Well, no, I mean, it tells me that maybe his intention was just to whatever go out that way and have somebody else take him out. So
yeah,
he couldn't do it himself.
that too. But as I'm saying, he's a worse shot than me because
you got better when you stopped leaning on your off foot and started pushing your weight on your front foot, though.
Sure.
We talked about that. You
We
got
don't
better
talk
at
about
it.
that.
You got better because of it, though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I do have something else to talk about real quick, if that's cool.
Go.
Keep that's pretty much the Target story. I mean, it didn't turn in anything. Yeah, I mean, there were people basically seeking shelter in businesses all around the area, and they were locking up stores and they're putting places on lockdown. We do have a hearing coming up on February 2nd, LB 194, and that is the Second Amendment Preservation Act. And it says that this is for Nebraska. The bill would stop federal government overreach and unconstitutional enforcement of executive orders in what has now become the AFT's favorite approach of redefining some of the most common accessories with no regard to making felons overnight. Yes.
The AFT.
Continue.
Oh, God.
Anyway, we need to ensure that Nebraskans' constitutional protections of our rights and freedoms are retained. We must get LB 194 passed to make Nebraska a Second Amendment sanctuary state. So that's going to be happening here. 91 of 93 counties have declared themselves sanctuary counties, ensuring no county-level personnel or financial support will be used in illegal enforcement, confiscation, or arrest actions. We must get the same applied to the city-level government and law enforcement. So It says there is a link that you can submit a testimony if you want to for the record. If you go to the Nebraska Firearms Owners Association or Friends of the NFOA website over on Facebook, you can click on Sandhills Media's link, if I'm not mistaken, or there's a link posted over there. And you can submit a written testimony, hopefully in favor of, if you want to. So go do that. It'll go right to your senator.
And was that NebraskaFirearms.org?
And at Nebraska Firearms Owners Association. Let's see. It would probably be NFOA.org. Let me know. I think it's
NebraskaFirearms.org.
Yeah, Nebraska. You're right. Yeah.
So check out NebraskaFirearms.org. And then check their social media so you can get those links.
Yep, Nebraska.org, and then they should have that posted on there soon about the LB 194, so we can get that taken care of. And then also on the NFOA channel on YouTube, we did have a recap from the town hall meeting for LB 77, the constitutional carry bill. And I will say this, it was kind of interesting that it just kind of shows you how kind of middle of the road Nebraskans
Defense Dad says there was no officer in the store. They showed up quickly and took him out.
Oh, okay, because it sounded like there was an officer in the store is what I'd read on the 1011 article, so I don't know. I thought they said he was in the store at the time when the man opened fire. So maybe the cop went into the store and did it. So, but either way, these people were able to get out of the store and run past him, I'm assuming, or get out of all the exits in the store, which I think there's usually like 4 of them on every target, back and both sides.
There's more than that, really.
Well, it's probably more. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So that's what I know right now about that. So anyway, just to let people know that if you hadn't had a chance to do it, NFOA has a recap tonight that they're doing over on YouTube on their channel. And you can watch and kind of hear about the results of how our LB 77 testimony meeting went and, what the proponents and opponents had to say about it. And the funny thing is a lot of people that were opponents of constitutional carry were not opposed to still having concealed carry. And a big part of what they wanted was they wanted the class and the education part. And one thing that we pushed for, and one thing that the proponents pushed for, was that there's a lot of ranges on board with offering free firearms education classes. A lot of free literature people can have if they want it, a lot of resources for people. If they want to do this and they want to get educated, they just have to make the choice to do so. So I think that really kind of appeals to a lot of people because it shows that we're trying to kind of cover all the bases on it. I mean, we shouldn't have to do that, but we do because, this is an incredible amount of responsibility we're opening up to people that maybe had never considered a firearm before. So obviously, we want everybody on board that wants to carry a firearm, but we also want people to be safe. That's another important part of it too. So hopefully it's going to happen. They had people testifying from all across the state. They had a few law enforcement people that testified in favor of it. So we're going to see what happens, man. We mentioned it's interstate constitution, and it should be something that's the first line of our state constitution, by the way. Nebraskans' right to bear arms should not be infringed. Yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome. Ohio Wolverine is out there saying, hey, gang, hope all is well. Hey, Travis, just ordered a BCA upper and a PSA build kit based on your reviews, bro. Thanks for doing what you do.
Cool, man. Sounds good, dude. Yeah, I've been talking to Bear Creek, and I'm going to test out some of their new side chargers. So we'll see if I have any better luck with those than what I did with their first gen ones, which ran fine, but the handles would come loose on them periodically. But that's good. Yeah, I've got a couple more coming.
Didn't Daniel make a custom charger for you?
Does he own Allen Precision? Is that
yes? That's
the same company. I never know because I only contact him through Allen Precision on. Yeah, they
That's
made
Daniel,
they made like 500 of them or something like that, and so we put them. I made a video about them and told people to go over to eBay and go buy them. There were a few people that complained, but because saying, well, it's no better than the first one. But if you had over tightened your original handle and you would strip the threads, or if you had done some damage, if you had basically over torqued that bolt to keep it from coming loose, and then when you take it out and try to put another bolt in there, you're just not gonna. It's just metal on metal, it's fatigue.
Right.
But if you went easy on tightening that, like on mine, I never over tightened it more than what Bear Creek told you to, but it would come loose after about one mag. I tested the new one and ran like 3 mags through the gun. It was an AR pistol, which has a pretty violent recoil to it, and it did not come loose. So it's a nice high quality bolt. So if you guys want a Gen 1 BCA charging handle, they're over there on eBay is where they're being sold. Right. So I may check my video out on and I tell you exactly how to get to them, like where to find them. They might be gone at this point because people are buying like 2 or 3 at a time because nobody else is making an aftermarket bolt. Which there's thousands and thousands of those uppers out there because they made that side charger for 2 or 3 years before they went to Gen 2. So now they have the dual charger. They have a side charger and a top charger, so you have either option if you want it. But yeah, I've got a dual charger 556 coming and a dual charger 762x39 coming to test out.
All right.
But I do buy a lot from them. About half the uppers and guns I bought from them are out of my own pocket. They're not all just given to me. And even if they fail, I've shown them fail on camera before, so I'm not shilling for them at all. If they don't work, you're going to see it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the 762x39 because my family's bought a couple of those uppers, not that particular side charger, but recently bought those uppers and they break firing pins on Tula. So we've had to go to we usually go with Black Rifle Arms, enhanced firing pins. We usually get a couple of those and have those around. Okay. Because you got to have a pretty solid firing pin when you're dealing with those, steel ammo primers. So, yep.
All right. We got one more topic I want to talk about tonight. So let me get into this because it's from our friend John Crump, and this is relating to the pistol brace rule. Okay. Basically, he is titled this "Bureaucrats Gone Wild." Representative Clyde to challenge ATF final rule. Washington D.C. The AFT published its pistol stabilizing device rule to the Federal Register this morning. Now, some members of Congress are stepping in to try and stop the new regulation. Representative Andrew Clyde, Republican, Georgia, vowed to reintroduce the Stop Harassing Owners of Rifles Today, or the SHORT Act, next week. The law would remove the short barrel rifles from the NFA. According to NFA regulations, any rifle with a barrel under 16 inches is subject to the law and, and must be registered with the ATF. And the gun owner must pay a $200 tax on top of that for the privilege of owning the rifle. Under the newly published rule, a pistol with stabilizing device would be reclassified as an SBR. The owners could remove the brace and modify it so it cannot be reattached to the rifle. Replace the short barrel with a 16-inch barrel, destroy the firearm, turn it into the ATF. Yeah, no. Don't turn anything into the ATF, period. Or register the firearm with the ATF as an SBR. Don't register anything either because it's a trap. As Admiral Akbar says, all ships pull up. It's a trap. All ships pull up. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
I think one of the things that a lot of people aren't talking about, I saw it today. It was the first time I heard it in a while, but I watched the Such and Robbie Wheaton video today. And one of the things that has been mentioned about this pistol brace thing, first of all, I know this is going to sound weird. And Mike, you and I talked about this, but
yeah, we talked about it. Yes.
I have a hard time not agreeing with a lot of what Yankee's been saying lately. I agree with it because he's talking a bit of sense, but at the same time, I don't like the reason why we have to do this. And
I don't
like the fact that they're entrapping the sheep to step into their own trap
because they can literally deny everybody that goes and it sends them the paperwork to register.
Well,
and
it's
then
far
come
worse.
back at the end of the registry saying
It's so much worse than that. Okay,
Yeah.
so the fact of the matter is they're setting up a trap that people are willingly walking into in the name of a free stamp. It sounds good, right? A guy like Yankee who has SBRs already stamped,
he already has
is already on the system. So for
Yeah.
him, I get it. It makes perfect sense. But for somebody who doesn't have any, they don't understand that there are stipulations, there are rules once you get one of these things. It completely changes how you can actually own one, because then there's rules for modification, there's rules for transportation, there's rules for selling. And like, they just said, hey, look, you can get a free stamp, but they never once said, we're going to put out a short video on, hey, so you got your first stamp, these are the things you should probably know about your new NFA item. They don't do that because they don't want you to know these things.
Well, by the way, they may not be able to put them into a trust either. You won't be able, because they have to be in the trust before they get stamped.
Correct.
For them to be carried over.
You're still going to have to pay the $200 to do it through a Form 4.
If you want to add it to a trust later, you have to pay the $200 later. But they didn't tell you, oh, by the way, you still have to do all the other hoops. You still have to send in all your fingerprints and all the paperwork and all the measurements and all the photos. And if you have a passport, you have to send a copy of that. You have to still go through every other process. And then this whole thing is going to get shot down at the Supreme Court level anyway. So now you have literally just handed over your information unnecessarily.
Okay.
And they just created the world's giant.
They just created a brand new fucking registry.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna. I hate to have to be the voice of reason here on this, but that coming from the same people that berated me for years for not going and giving my fingerprints in because I didn't want the government having them.
You personally
no
didn't want to give up your fingerprints.
No. See, you're saying they shouldn't have to do that, and no, they shouldn't. And I really don't feel like I should have had to give my fingerprints either.
I didn't say that. I said they shouldn't have to go through this entire process in the first place.
No, they should.
And because they're being blinded by the allure of, hey, free text stamp, they don't understand what that entails. Like, okay, I'm going to fill out this form. And they're starting to read the fine print. Wait, I have to send in my fingerprints. Wait, I have to send a copy of photographic ID or a passport and all this other shit. Wait, I can't take my gun to my uncle's place in Michigan from Texas every year when I go hunting.
You can. You have to notify.
You have to notify. You have to tell. You have to get
advance.
permission from Big Brother. And they're not telling you all these things.
If I want that, I'd just move back in with my parents if I wanted that kind of treatment.
Well, I'm just saying. They're not telling you all of this. People who are in the know already do this.
Yep.
The ATF does not have the authority to waive the $200 tax fee.
No, the
last time it was done in the 90s, it took an act of Congress.
Yes, but somebody cited an actual thing, like a stipulation or a bill or whatever, that was passed since then that gave them the ability to do that.
Probably put in place by a Democrat.
Probably. But it doesn't even matter because, like, no matter what happens at the end of this, right? You can apply for the stamp. Great. If like, take my KP9 for instance, right? I bought it. It had no brace. It came naked. If I added a brace to it, now all of a sudden I have to go put a stamp on it. If I actually take the time and put a stamp on it and give up my fingerprints and fill out all the paperwork and get my stamp, the first thing I would do is take that brace off, throw it in the garbage, and put a real stock on it, because when they come by and they say, oh, that's the other thing. When you sign on the dotted line for that stamp, you have just given the ATF the authority to come by at least once a year, anytime they want, unannounced, and say, we demand to see this, 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 and this in your paperwork behind it. And while they're looking at those, they're checking out everything else that they could see within an eye shot. They didn't tell you that either, did they?
If you have a C and arsenal license.
Yes. But they usually, when for that one, they usually ask to see your ledger. Different.
Yep.
For,
Yes and
for
no.
NFA items, they're like, we want to see these NFA items and the stamps that are attached to these things. And then they're going to start looking around at everything else you've got while you're fetching those things.
Yeah, but you don't have to let them in your house, though. You don't have to let them in. You can say, stay here at the door. I'll go grab it.
Yeah, stay here and let me carry a firearm through my door and point it.
Well, no, say, meet you guys down the garage. Let's crack a couple brews. We'll go over this real quick and see what you guys, I mean,
these
I'm not
are
going to let
people
them.
who target shoot your dog for fun.
They can't enter your home without a warrant. You can say, wait here. I'll go grab this. You can bring it out.
I get that, but you're like, wait here. Let me go fetch this weapon.
Then you shut the door in their face. You bolt lock it. Go get your stuff. Go back downstairs and give it to them. You got to show
Open
it
the
to them.
door. He's got a gun. Shoot his dog. Telling you.
What, Sean? What was that about Ruby Ridge and Waco?
Listen, tanks don't have flamethrowers. A barrel of a tank going into a building should not have set the building on fire.
Wait. What's that about Killdozer?
That just happens when government just keeps smacking you down and telling you what you have to do when all you've done is try to start a life and mind your own damn business.
See, that's.
I thought you were going to say he needed bigger radiators.
No,
probably
he needed to know that there were cellars in buildings that he was running over. Oops. Or get a bigger Komatsu next time.
Yes. Yes. Anyways, let me go through this article. This is only like a few more paragraphs, right?
Go on.
Right. So, let's see. Where were we? Under the newly published rule, a pistol brace with a stabilizing device would be reclassified as an SBR. The owners could remove the brace and modify it so it could not be reattached. Rifle, yada yada yada. Turn it into the. Nobody's going to do that. The gun owner would be granted a $200 tax stamp fee for forbearance. $200 tax fee forbearance. So basically, it's a forgiveness of the $200 tax, which it's well within the government's right to do that. So basically, they're saying we're waiving the fee, and the way we're waiving is we're giving you a forbearance on that $200 fee, which it's in their right to do that.
I would like to see in writing where they have the authority to do the $200. I would like to see it.
They're not doing it through the IRS though. That's the issue.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't get how they're able to do that, but it was told to me that they were able to do that.
If I remember right, one of the reasons why they were able to do this is because they had to do it because they're trying to criminalize something post facto. They're trying to turn 40 million pistols into something that should no longer be legal without the paperwork. They had to say, we can't force you to pay for this.
In writing where they have the authority to forgive that $200 tax fee.
You're going to make me look for it, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
I can't even remember what video I heard it in.
So, because not one person I have seen out of all the gun tubers has said specifically where they have the authority to do that.
I don't know, and I'm being honest. I don't know. I've heard that they have the authority to do that. So
yeah,
they also claim to have the authority to reclassify them as SBRs, which we know is bullshit.
We know they don't have that authority. No,
right?
We know
They're
that.
not legislative. That's instead of splitting hairs on the details of what they're doing, we should be just smacking them with a wet newspaper across the nose, going, "Fucking stop it! You don't have the authority to levy legislation." That is not what you are for. You are a political lapdog for the Department of Treasury. Sit your ass down and chew your milk bone.
Mm-hmm. So, going down further, gun owners will have until May 31st, 2023 to come into compliance with the new rule. They go on to say non-compliance is a choice, but if a gun owner is caught with a firearm not in compliance, then the owner could face up to 10 years in federal prison for an NFA violation.
Good luck enforcing that one.
Yeah. Next week, I will reintroduce the Stop Harassing Owners of Rifles Today Act, or the SHORT Act, to repeal the National Firearms Act, thereby prohibiting the ATF from registering and banning pistols with stabilizing braces. Representative Clyde said on the House floor. Additionally, as soon as the ATF unlawful rule is published to the Federal Register, I will introduce a resolution of disapproval under the Congressional Review Act to override the Biden administration's unlawful overreach. that might have more effect, honestly. The Congressional Review Act allows Congress to nullify regulations enacted by governmental agencies. The CRA, Congressional Review Act, requires a joint resolution with 60 legislative working days after Congress receives the report from an agency. Clyde has plans to challenge the ATF's pistol brace rule using the CRA and stating that Congress is putting the ATF on notice. The CRA requires a simple majority in Congress to disapprove a regulation. The CRA is immune from being filibustered in the Senate, meaning that only 51 senators must sign on to kill a rule. There's enough support in the House to use the CRA to shut down the ATF's new rule, which many in the gun community see as a draconian regulation. The real fight will be in the Senate, where there are 48 Democrats, 49 Republicans, and 3 independents. All 3 independents caucus with the Democrats, making it the majority party. Even if all Senate Republicans vote to use the CRA to avoid the ATF rule, 2 other senators will be needed to be convinced. Although most in the gun community feel that the real solution is to repeal the NFA or dissolve the ATF, those options are not possible under the current political climate. The SHORT Act is also a long shot bill, but reintroducing bills builds support over time. Using the CRA to shut down the ATF's overreaching bill is a real possibility, but it requires the gun community to press their senators and representatives to get on board. So what I'm going to tell you all is, DJ Plain Ice, if you're out there, please post the number for the switchboard. Okay? Everyone contact your local Congress critter and let them know what you think. And if he's not out there, I got to get the switchboard number. I do not know what the switchboard number is. Okay, what's the government switchboard?
I have it.
Please post it out there in the chat, please.
About the Capitol switchboard, right?
Yeah, the Capitol switchboard number.
Here you go.
All right.
Did you say Congress critter?
I did. I took Mike's I took one of his terms. Congress critters. You know.
Do they chitter like a raccoon when you step on their tail? Or?
Well, no, I do know they eat critters.
You know what term I like better?
Go on.
Uniparty.
Ooh.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Spot on.
Yes, it's true.
The outcast.
Republican, Democrat, different sides of the same freaking coin.
Look,
It's true.
my dad, he grew up in the 1940s and 50s, and he used to tell me these stories about how he would go to live exhibition professional wrestling shows back then, right? So you had like, Hagar the Destroyer and the Mangler, just, cheesy 40s and 50s wrestling names, right? They would talk about how they were going to pull each other's eyeballs out and they were going to kill them at this event, right? And then an hour after the lights went off and the show, the tents went down, he drove down to the local bar and they're all eating dinner, cracking beers and cracking jokes. And that is exactly what this government does to you. Like, we are cattle to them. We put them in power and they treat us like cattle, and they play us for fools because this is a one-party system. Because at the end of the day, they're cracking beers and jokes and they're watching Nancy Pelosi do strip teases, which is just gross.
No, stop. No.
Hey,
my eyes.
To make things a little more palatable,
My
it used
eyes,
to be
burn.
Dianne Feinstein.
Burn.
It
Oh
used to
my
be
God.
Dianne
My
Feinstein.
eyes, they burn.
It's just gross.
All right, stop. Just stop.
You quit it right now.
Stop right now.
Don't make me get the water gun out.
Verboten. Verboten.
Yeah.
All right. With that,
We made the hour.
we made the hour. We're gonna go through the room. Let everybody say their piece and get out of here because I can't see. I can't see right now. It's all Sean's fault. I literally clawed my eyes out.
I'll own that one.
So, Scott, do you have any final words of wisdom for us?
Fuck the AFT.
Okay, we'll go with that. Travis, do you have any final words of wisdom for us?
Nebraskans, you need to wise up and go to the hearing on February 2nd at 9:30 a.m. in room 1507 at our state capitol to hear about the Second Amendment Preservation Act. And that's LB 194. Let's make it happen. And shout out to NFOA, John Anderson, Senator Brewer, everybody that's hopefully going to just plug that hole that is the lack of constitutional carry in the middle part of the United States. Nebraska, always late to the party. Always a bridesmaid, Nebraska. That's all I got to say.
Always.
So
always.
Anyway, man, no, I appreciate the invite. It's a lot of fun tonight. Again, lots of good stuff going on. So we'll be having an episode of Caliber Corner on Saturday. We're going to be talking about the Army's next generation squad weapon that's coming up, the new SIG XM5 and XM250 and 277 SIG Fury and all that fun stuff. And
as the only one that's actually handled one of them here, it's not going to do well. It's going to turn into a scar.
It's a monster, man. It already weighs like 9 pounds or something. But
we're gonna have down their ammunition supply significantly.
You can't force the military to accept transgenders and weak little soy boys and then give them a rifle that weighs 19 pounds fully loaded.
Well,
like
that's
contradictory.
Battle, you know,
you can't make a drag queen man up though.
All I have to say, Travis, is have you seen the new Abrams X? It's awesome.
No,
I can't even see the 31 Abrams that were supposed to go to Ukraine because all of a sudden it's like, oh, sorry, we don't have any.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll discuss that on the.
It's like who has less?
Because
the Russians
we are
have
planning
less
on doing the
T-14s?
war room this week. Aren't we? Or are we going to do a video game chat finally?
This Friday on the War Room, we will discuss the audacity of the idea that Russians have more T-14 armadas available than the United States has M1 Abrams tanks that they promised to send to Ukraine and then said, oops, sorry, we don't have any.
It's because they left them in Afghanistan.
I don't think we sent them in Afghanistan, but who the fuck does that?
How do you misplace 30 tanks?
How do you not have 30 in the entire country that you could peel off and send over? Oh, sorry, we don't have
nobody
any.
Nobody wants to spare them, you know?
Yeah.
I just love what we did to the Germans, though. Like, okay, bro, you gonna send some Leopard tanks over or what? I tell you what, we do it if you send your Abrams. Okay, we're gonna send Abrams. Fine, we send Leopards. Cool.
No. And then we said we weren't, and the Germans went around and
the Germans were like, "But we already sent the Leopards."
No,
sorry.
No, what they did, the Germans said, anybody that has licensed Leopards from us, go ahead and send them to Ukraine.
Yeah, we'll backfill you. So they started fulfilling backfill orders, and they're like, "Where are the Abrams?" Oh, sorry, we didn't have any. Scheisse.
Scheisse. Exactly.
Well, it's about time Germany steps up and does their part. You know, I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
No, man. I mean, the last time they stepped up and did their part, they went on an extended holiday in Poland and France, and that didn't end well.
No. The last time German tanks went through Poland, it did not end well.
It did not end well.
Because they didn't have roll down windows for the drive-through.
No, I think it's because Gunpowder Beauty will probably, if any of us are here after chat, will probably be on Sean's Discord. So
you're more than welcome to join us there.
If you have a link to that, great. If you need a link to that, we can email you a link or something.
Seduction is optional.
Yeah. you fight Tardot on that one. I'll tell you right now. Anyways, with that, Sean.
Yes.
We're doing the War Room this week.
Yes. Stories. Multitude of stories permitting, we should have a show this week. If we do, and there's not many stories, we'll make it happen. Like it might be a short one, but
I posted a ton of stories, so pick and choose.
You're gonna have to send her a link.
Yeah,
she needs one.
All right. With that, we will be back later. So thank you all for listening. Link. This was Hit or Miss. I'll just email it to her. So I've got her email.
Okay.
So, and with that, we'll see you all later. Take it easy. Have a good one. And shall not be infringed.
What does this button do?
Bye, Felicia. Call me.
Te amo, Felicia. Te amo.
Te amo, Felicia. Felicia, mi amor.
Felicia.